We have got a massive transfer update regarding Newcastle United. We're talking Trafford, we're talking Isak, and we're talking Elanga. What is the latest with Newcastle? According to reports, a £45 million bid has been submitted for Anthony Elanga. Alexander Isak, I'm going to say it right now, and I'm going to say it, and I've said this on various transfer videos, updates regarding Liverpool. It's going to be very, very difficult for Liverpool to get Alexander Isak, and my gut tells me right now that he will still be a Newcastle player come the end of the transfer window, unless £150 million is presented to Newcastle, which I don't necessarily think it will be. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts on every single topic we discuss. Make sure you watch the video the entire way through because it really helps the channel out. The road to 60K is well and truly on. We're just over 50 subscribers from 58,000. So please go down, smash this subscribe button to pieces. Now, David Ornstein, one of the most credible sources out there when it comes to transfer news, views, and clues, has given an update saying an exclusive from himself, not Fabrizio Romano for once. And he has said the following, that Newcastle have made an offer for Anthony Elanga from Nottingham. Newcastle make an offer to sign Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest. Bid in the region of £45 million. Newcastle have been rejected without counter. No intention of the Swedish international leaving Forest. Consider whether to maintain pursuit or focus on other targets. Now, first things first, I'm a big fan of Anthony Elanga. Of course, had his first standout season at Nottingham Forest, 6 goals and 11 assists. You know, they need him if they want to continue on throughout the Conference League this season. Going into next season. He got 18 GA in 43 games across the Premier League, the League Cup, and the FA Cup. Of course, Newcastle United do have Champions League, so that is something they can offer him. As you can see right there, I don't know why that's coming up there. We'll delete that quickly. There we go. 18 GA in 43 games. I reported this, or I spoke on a report of this about 3.5 weeks ago, saying that Newcastle United are interested. I also said that I think João Pedro is probably more realistic because Brighton, of course, don't have European football. Now, if we actually look at Anthony Elanga, you know, in terms of his overall package, well, you know, his contract expires at Forest in June 30th, 2028. He only joined Forest back in 2023. So he's only been there a couple of years. Of course, predominant position is on the right wing. He can also play left wing. He can also play false 9. They've got a relatively good, I would say, wing options in Gordon, in Barnes, and in Murphy, who has massively surprised me. In terms of Anthony Elanga's wage, he's currently on £25,000 a week. So, you know, Newcastle United could comfortably improve that, push him up to maybe 75, 80K, maybe 100K, depending on how big the transfer fee is. The question is he good enough? Do they need him? What's the priority? I think the priority for Newcastle United, I think when you look at their midfield, it's one of the best midfields in the Premier League. Let's just call it what it is. It is probably, sorry, Liverpool fans, it probably is the best midfield in the Premier League. Like, this midfield got Newcastle United finishing 5th. The likes of Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joelinton is probably the best midfield in terms of controlling football matches, powerful runners, technique, ability, whatever metric you want to use. I think personally Newcastle United is probably the best. Joined with, you could say Liverpool or Chelsea or Arsenal, or maybe City now they've rebuilt. But for me, where Newcastle needs to strengthen for me is the centre-back area, because they've been heavily linked with Gahey, right? They've also got Shaw and Dan Burn, who are both, I think Shaw is 33, and I think Dan Burn is also 33. So Newcastle United are going to have to play a lot of games this season. You know, it's going to be a very long season. You're looking at 8 games minimum in the Champions League, 38, of course, in the Premier League, 1 League Cup game, 1 FA Cup game. So that's already 48 games you'd imagine Newcastle United should get quarterfinals minimum of the FA Cup and League Cup. So that's another few games. You're looking at 50 game season. Two 33-year-olds. And of course, they have, got Dan Botman, who I think is a very, very good centre-back, who's 25, 26, maybe 20. I think he's 25. I think they need another centre-back. And that's why, of course, they were looking at Mark Gahey. The likelihood is now he probably will end up at Liverpool. They are heavily interested in him. Now, of course, they are looking at a goalkeeper. And we know he's a familiar face, played in the Premier League. Newcastle United, according to Fabrizio Romano, has mentioned that they are interested in signing 2 days ago. Negotiations between Burnley and James Trafford are underway. Club-to-club talks regarding a deal that can happen from July. So expected to accelerate from next week. And that was coming out only yesterday. I don't know how I feel about Trafford. I look at, Nick Pope. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He's 33. He's probably in his peak of his powers right now. I know that, Trafford just had a really good year at Burnley. They only conceded something like, I think they had the record last year for the best defense in the Championship. But the best defense in the Championship, fair enough, you conceded 16 goals, which is absolutely remarkable. When you look at how many games you play, Burnley, very well set up, very well coached last year. But I don't think, however, that really can translate into the Premier League. I've seen this guy in a Burnley shirt. I don't think he's better than Pope. I think Pope, for me, will still be the number one going into next season. And, of course, one player that is being heavily linked to a move to Liverpool is Alexander Isak. My gut tells me right now that Alexander Isak will still be a Newcastle United player come next season. As fantastic as he is, you're looking at 150 million bid. Do Liverpool have the funds? Well, they're selling Darwin Núñez. The likelihood is they're going to sell Harvey Elliott. The likelihood is they've sold Quansah. They've sold Kelleher. The money may be there, but Newcastle United have just won silverware. They can guarantee Alexander Isak Champions League football. I think if he is going to go, it probably is going to be next year. In terms of Alexander Isak's contract situation, he does have 3 years left. So Newcastle United hold all the cards. He's a remarkable player. He's a world-class number 9. His record in a Newcastle United shirt is absolutely stupid, with 73 GA in 109 games. His goal record in the last 2 seasons has been nothing short of unbelievable. When you look at, 23 goals last season and 20 the season before, I don't feel that at this moment in time in his career, he will be joining Liverpool. But if they raise the funds and they put 150 million pounds on the table, it's going to be very, 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 very difficult for Liverpool, for Newcastle United to turn that down. You're talking about, 150 million nowadays would get you 2 very, very top players. You could go out and replace him. You could also bring in a top centre half. It just depends on the recruitment. It depends on what Newcastle United want to do. It depends on Alexander Isak. If he turns around and says, I want the move, I want to force the move, etc., it then becomes very, very difficult for Newcastle United to keep him. But as it stands right now, I don't think this summer he will be a Liverpool player. I think he will still be at Newcastle. And this reminds me very, very similar to when Manchester City tried to come in for Harry Kane. Ultimately, he's still a Newcastle United player. He's still, we're still sitting here right now, expecting, as it stands right now, the scenario that Liverpool are going to go in for him. But I personally do think come the end of the transfer window, he will still be a Newcastle United player. And then you've got the situation, if they bring in Elanga, what happens to that front line? Well, they need more squad depth. Murphy, of course, will be a fantastic, squad depth with him for Elanga. You've also got the situation with, on the left, you've got Barnes and Gordon, maybe bring in another player. They're looking at João Pedro, give really good squad depth to Alexander Isak. and then Newcastle United can complete on all fronts. But let me know your thoughts. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.